I'm joined today by Professor Brian Wansink, who teaches marketing in the Dyson School of Applied Economics and Management at Cornell University. Also author of the book Slim by Design and the bestseller Mindless Eating, Why We Eat More Than We Think. Also former executive director of the USDA Center for Nutrition Policy and Promotion. So before we get started, Professor, how did you get into this topic generally of consumer behavior around food?
You know, I grew up in Iowa, and when I was a little boy, I used to sell vegetables door to door. And one of the things I ended up finding was that it wasn't demographics, or wasn't income, or wasn't even knowledge that ended up determining whether you like vegetables or not. But it was we couldn't figure it out. And that this is amazing because you can take two identical houses door to door. One would buy all the vegetables I had in my little wagon, and the other would look at me like I was carrying kryptonite. And I thought, this is really cool. Why? There's some unexplainable variation in what we eat, what we like, and how much we eat that I think is largely explained by psychology and by the environment around us.
So to give people a sense of some of the things you've worked on, the Food and Brand Lab is credited with working on research that shows smaller dinner plates mean people eat less. People in general seem to eat 92% of whatever amount they serve themselves. The average person makes about 250 food-related decisions a day. Low-fat labels mean people eat more calories. The nutritional gatekeeper in the family influences about 3/4 of what the family eats. People put more beverages into short, wide glasses than tall ones. So before we dig into some of these specifics, I talk to a lot of picky eaters. I know a lot of picky eaters. Generally, they tend to say the one constant is they say when they were younger, they ate very limited diets. And I don't know if that also aligns with the not eating as many vegetables. The picky eaters I know it does. Do you find that this lack of variety growing up is a big factor in people not eating as healthy or not eating as many vegetables when they're older?
I mean, you cannot believe the power of what happens when you read a little Googlet. Okay, so there was a study a while back. This is actually one we didn't do, but it was a study where they took pregnant women in their third trimester, 6 to 9 months. What they did is they gave them carrot juice to drink every day, or they gave them water to drink every day. Okay, and what they did is after they gave birth, 3 months later, they give their little gooblets, the little babies, this little porridge or cereal, and it was carrot flavored. What they found is the kids whose moms had even drank carrot juice when they were pregnant with the kid ended up eating a lot more of this porridge than those who hadn't. I mean, the amazing thing is that when you're a very young kid, you're fairly, you explore things a lot. And basically most kids grab anything within arm's length and put in their mouth. And if you're a parent who wants your kids to eat better, just take anything you're eating, put it on a little tray in front of your kids, and what you'll find is they'll end up growing to have a lot more of a wide range of tastes when they grow up, and they're not just going to like white foods and pizza.
So along these same lines, we recently talked about, I don't know if you saw this study around so-called clean your plate parenting, right? The idea that parents tell their kids, you got to clean your plate before you can leave the table. And there's a significant correlation between parents who do that and children who eventually are obese in their adult lives. At the same time, this is not that uncommon of a parenting technique, right? The idea that you don't want to encourage behavior where kids are leaving food, even though it might be because their body is sending them signs that they're full, that they don't want to eat anymore. In the research you've done, what's your analysis of this clean your plate parenting style?
This is really, really cool. So, food is one area where kids kind of have some latitude in their during the day. And we did this study a while back. I really like it. We call it the Clean Plate Club, not surprisingly. But one of the things we did is we took little kids, 4-year-old kids, and what we did is we sent a questionnaire home with their parents. I asked about 20 questions, 19 of which we could care less about. One of them that we were really interested in was, to what extent do you insist your child clean his plate?
Right.
Okay. And it could be like a 1 or 2 or 3. They could have circled it as a 9-point scale. They could have circled 1, 2, or 3. She was like, well, I don't care. They can do whatever they want. Or like 7, 8s, or 9s. I mean, yeah, by gosh, I make them clean their plate. But what we did the next day when they brought the little questionnaire back is we set them up. We gave them dessert, not dessert, but we gave them well, it's Fruit Loops actually, and we let them have as much Fruit Loops as they wanted for breakfast that day. We found that kids whose parents insisted they clean their plate, what do you think they did? Do you think they poured more Fruit Loops or they poured less Fruit Loops?
I don't know if I would say that they poured more or less, but I would guess the clean your plate kids ultimately ate more one way or another.
Yeah, that's interesting because what happens is that here you have a kid who, when he's at home, he's got no control over his food environment because his parents are going, eat, 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 or do this, do this, do this, do this. And so the thing they do, the second they have food freedom, is they just go hog wild, so to speak. We found they poured about 44% more cereal than kids whose parents said, yeah, if you don't want to eat it, you don't have to eat it.
So when we talk about the parenting influence, when we talk about the disproportionate availability of cheap processed food, which is less healthy, we kind of have this perfect storm of factors right now that are contributing in general, we could say, at least in many parts of the country, to less healthy eating and more obesity. If you had to say what's the one really specific change that could be made that would have the biggest impact overall on child obesity, obesity overall, have you narrowed down what's the one thing? I mean, we can identify so many problems, but it's harder to think of solutions.
Yeah, I mean, all our lab, all the Cornell Food and Brand Lab does research that all has a solution at the end of it. Because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of whiny people out there pointing out the problems, but what we need are solutions. Well, one of the things we found in this particular case is that, like it or not, the nutritional gatekeeper of the home, this is the person who either purchases or prepares the majority of food, they control 72% of what their family eats. Now, it's for the better if they have a fruit bowl instead of a candy dish, okay? It's for the better if they go to a restaurant that actually has a salad instead of just big fried blooming onions. It's for the better if they give their kid a little snack pack to take to school instead of, giving them a couple bucks and taking a drag on the cigarette, okay? And if parents could realize that they can't control everything their kid does and everything their kid eats, but they control almost 3/4 of it. If parents could realize this, first of all, they wouldn't feel resigned, and I think they would shape up a little bit more and act a little bit better as role models. That's the one big change that I think could transform the way people eat.
But so let's talk about that, because recently, July 1st, some of these junk food and school bans go into effect, right? And when we talked about this on our program, I'm very aware of the fact that there are far more significant problems with our education system. Math and science scores are down in the toilet. We've got in the South textbooks being rewritten to include stuff that's totally non-scientific. There are bigger fish to fry when it comes to education than junk food. But at the same time, as you talk about the importance of parents guiding their kids' diets because of the impact it has later in life, isn't it valuable to reduce the amount of junk food kids have access to? Is there not some value to that? And I ask it not rhetorically. I really don't know the answer.
The one thing we need to realize is that, there's a great experiment. I don't think there should be vending machines in schools, but I think there should be indulgence in schools. Now, I'll give you an example. So the LA Unified School District a while back ended up changing their menu. They took everything off that was, got rid of chocolate milk or cookies or things like this. So I think they left tofu and kale. Yeah. And so I got this call from this writer from the LA Times a while back and goes, hey, the data's in. Guess what happened over a year after doing this? I'm like, everybody stopped eating there. And she goes, how did you know? and that's what we need to worry about. If we just transform all the school to make it all tofu and kale, the problem is people are going to stop eating. If they stop eating school lunches, what we found and what others have found, 3 out of 4 kids who bring their lunches from home or who buy it on the way or whatever eat worse than the kid who eats the worst school lunch available. So what we believe the solution is, we started something called the Smarter Lunchroom Movement. You can go to smarterlunchrooms.org. And what we do is we figured out what are behavioral solutions, some of them psychological, some of them behavioral economics, that can be done in schools to get little gooblets to pick up the apple instead of the cookie, the whole while thinking it was their own volition that made them do it. And we find simply, I mean, it's a scorecard with 100 things that you can do. But one thing we found is simply taking a fruit bowl, for instance, and instead of having your fruit in this nasty chafer pan, put it in a fruit bowl and put it next to the cash register, increases fruit sales by 105%.
Wow.
Okay. Giving a name to a vegetable, calling it like crunchy carrots instead of just carrots, or power peas instead of like peas, ends up increasing sales by about 30%. So these small changes you can make.
Wow, that's truly incredible. It's amazing. Well, I encourage everybody to check out the work that's being done at the Dyson School of Applied Economics and Management at Cornell University. We've been speaking with Professor Brian Wansink, and you can check out his book, Slim by Design, and also Mindless Eating. Is Slim by Design out now? When we first emailed you about an interview, it was forthcoming, but I don't know if it's now out because it's been a while.
Yeah, September 23rd it's coming out. So you can go to the website, slimbydesign.org.
All right, remember, smaller dinner plates. That we know for sure. The science seems clear about that. Thanks so much for doing the interview.
Yeah, you bet. Good to talk to you.